Today, we've got a hot topic. Headlines are riddled and just filled with news about the settlement with the National Association of Realtors. So I thought it would be a good idea to start to bring out the experts and to start to talk to people about what's going on. So today we are joined by none other than Gregory Pekarsky from Vesta Preferred Realty. And we're going to have a conversation about this and start to kick the tires on this and see what's out there so that we can keep you in the know. So there you are.
Here we go. Wow. Come join me on my ride to Michigan, everybody.
Oh, I love it. At least the snow stopped, right?
For the time being, yes. It's me and my trusty co-pilot, Theo.
Oh, what's up, Theo? Aw, I like Theo.
The best boy, the best boy. So I will be keeping my eyes on the road if anybody is worried. So don't worry. I'm maximum safety and value and information given. So that's the goal today.
Yeah, we just need you to focus on two things. We need you to focus on the road and this wonderful topic at hand. I know that obviously everyone's talking about the settlement.
Yeah.
The NAR settlement is just all over. And we've been talking about this case. I don't know if you saw it too, as of today, Compass settled as well. I think they paid out about $57 million.
Yep. It's the chips keep falling, and the one thing that is a constant is just chaos, right? And like not understanding, but what a lot of people are trying to do is they're trying to give messaging across that that doesn't necessarily bode very well for I think that there's just a lot of unknowns, and in my opinion, the only people, the one group, the one entity that actually will guide what's going to happen are consumers. Like that's literally the only people, and we don't know what they're going to do because we're looking at how our habits going to change, and that's one of just the traditionally like the most impossible thing to call out is how habits will change in a brave new world, right? So that's what I'm watching is like my conversations now with buyers as they ask me, I'm like, well, would you value this, or what, like would you pay this, or so like I'm testing different models out already.
Right.
Because it's all going to be like habit-based valuations, like what are you willing to pay for, what are you not, like it's just like literally a brave new world right now.
I love the fact that you're having those conversations and running those models. That's key. And that, you know what? That's why you're so good at what you do. That's why you're at the top, because of that.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you.
You got to stay out in front of it. And I think one thing we can all agree on is it's safe to say that it's really, like you said, it's too early to tell. I mean, even in the case of how this will play out and what's required, there's still some additional steps that have to be taken here, correct?
Yeah, I mean, so the settlement has to actually be like granted, right? And which is, by the way, like what a let's pull the rug from underneath us moment, because I personally was like, okay, I know that something's going to happen. I feel like we got 18 months, 24 months to like be able to like, figure this out. And it's like, oh, mid-July on Friday. I was like, dude, like, that would be, it's just like, can we not make this so chaotic? Like, can we have, time? And then of course, like what happens is the news, first off, I didn't realize the news hated real estate agents so much. Like, I didn't realize that, like, I mean, honestly, I'm like, I haven't had like a major news publication showcasing like a positive news stories around like real estate agents. And I don't know if it's like a very like, the lean into the clickbaity of like, hate the powers that be, and like let's tear this thing down together.
100%.
But I'm
People
just
respond to
like,
negativity, unfortunately.
oh my
That's
God,
what it is.
dude, I'm just like, what are you guys doing? We'll get into this, but like what you did is you just shook up a very well functioning free market economy that has already been made so efficient for the consumer. And because some people don't understand how value is oriented, okay, put in a excessively greedy, incredible attorney, right? Like that guy is one of the best. Which I what am I gonna say? Like he did an incredible job, and he did exactly what he wanted to do, which was pretend like he was watching out for his clients, but yet saw a massive potential check coming his way, and he ripped it all down. Like he ripped it all down, right? So, it's like the ripple effect of how this is going to negatively actually hurt the people that this was supposed to protect is unreal.
So
It's unreal, and it's all coming out now.
what does that mean in July? So, like you said, they pulled the rug out, and now starting in July, some things have changed. And what is that exactly? What will happen moving forward when a home buyer wants to use a buyer's agent?
Yeah.
Let me go on
So
record by saying they should. Everyone should use a buyer's agent. You really should. I do. 22 years in this business, over 10,000 transactions under my belt. I still use an agent, no matter how much I think I'm a know-it-all. So, what do you think?
well,
What will that look like?
so
What's changing?
so really for the consumers that are watching, right? Like the real implications of like change, like the immediate, whoa, this is different. There's two specific things. And one is based off of representation and the second is off of compensation. So the
Okay.
first thing in the ruling, it says you have to see any MLS property, you have to have an agreement signed. Now that's still pretty vague. Is that an exclusive agreement? Is that just an agency understanding agreement? Like there's going to be, of course, any sort of vagueness in any sort of ruling is just like open for discussion and like how do you minimize the shakeup as minimal as possible. But like the biggest thing, the habit of I need to sign something before I see anything is a massive change. There's some
Right.
states that have had it forever, but like in Illinois, we've never had to have that. Like verbally, we had to have the agency conversation, but nothing in writing. So like I do, for example, a lot of online lead sourcing, right? Like that's just what I'm known for. I'm nationally recognized as one of the best online lead servicers in the country. A few of my colleagues in the city are as well. And so like now think about it, somebody comes in, they're like, oh, I'm thinking about, I just want to go see a few houses. They click on it. And before I'd be like, hey, no problem. Let's get the show on the road. Let's get you in there. We can talk, whatever. Let's get you feeling comfortable. This is what I do. This is who I am. But now it's like, you got to sign this.
Right.
You gotta say I'm your agent for this specific property. Hello, you've never met me before in your entire life. And listen, like my value prop's strong, right? Like there's a lot of reviews. People come to me because of who I am. There's a lot of agents that like just started in the business. Like, what are you
Yeah.
going to get somebody to sign blindly? Like, so that's the first habit, getting like that signature to see properties.
For sure.
And the
Getting
second
a
thing is
commitment,
compensate. You have
right?
the
And then
commitment.
getting a commitment and then that understanding of what that compensation looks like.
Secondly is the compensation, right? So in real estate, we have to be very clear. Representation does not mean compensation, right? So it's not like you have to be paid to represent somebody properly.
Okay.
Um, And so then, but also in the ruling, it's saying that you cannot legally now on the MLS showcase a buyer's representation agreement, compensation, right? So
Okay.
there can't be like right now you go in the MLS, you roll down. I'm like, all right, this house is offering this percentage. Okay, this offer is this percentage, right? That'll be no more. That is like a just come show it, and then I'm sure there'll be a like in the private remarks or some other place, but it's not going to be so visible. I can go over why they thought that was a good idea, but the most important thing is the sellers that started this whole thing. They said that I don't want to pay for a buyer's agent. I'm hiring a listing agent. Why would I Why would I pay for a buyer's agent? That's
Right.
a whole other conversation of the free market and the efficiency of everything. But now the conversation is like, listen, buyer, um, my fee to use me is X if you buy this property. Now, I will go to the seller and I will negotiate on our behalf and I will try to get that into the seller. But if they say no, then you will have to pay out of pocket for me for this amount of
Right.
money. And let's just talk about that in general, right? That has always been the case. The buyer is the one that's always brought the bag of money to closing. So the difference, though, is that instead of it being a package deal, no concerns, like everybody understood this, it's the way that it goes. Now it's like an upfront conversation, which changes everything because it's the whole psychology behind if somebody needs to agree to pay for something upfront, then they ask, what am I paying for? Then it
Right.
comes down to the value prop. So it's this whole, like, those are the two main things that will shake it up big time, and agents got to get ready for their gab and understanding how to express it properly so clients see the value and understanding why it's so important to use a buyer's agent and not just go directly to a listing agent and have no representation.
I, I'm just going to say it because I know a lot of people are saying it behind closed doors. I'll say it out front, but let's face it. There are some agents who are not going to make it out of this because they're not going to be able to present a value proposition because they themselves are not valuable. agents are valuable,
Yeah.
but there's a lot. You work. Come on, you're on the
Yeah.
table with a lot of people. You can't tell me there's not people you work with where you're just like, oh my
Yeah.
God,
Well,
this person's
well,
lucky there are slip-on shoes, like
right.
because
Yeah.
So
So,
I'm not. And
so
I'm
like,
sorry, I'm not trying to be a jerk,
no,
but
no, no.
there's some people who don't
It's
have a value.
it's the reason why we're in this position that we're in now, right?
Right.
I think that we really shot ourselves in the foot because we should have been talking compensation and value from the start, right? Like
Agreed.
we should have always been educating the public on the importance because I said something and I keep saying it. It's like if you do all of this work and you do all of these things for somebody and all they see is this amazing end result, but you don't tell them what you had to go, the pain you had to go through to get there, then they don't know that. They don't value that, right? And a lot of agents, yes, we got way too big. There's been just too low of a barrier of entry to get into this industry, right? So like all of that being like is honestly yes, like there's a lot of fat in our industry that's going to get cut. I'm nervous it's going to be too much,
Yep.
to the point where like, I mean, it's like when you say 30%, 40% of an industry goes away, like just outside of the agents going away, imagine the ripple effect on inspectors, on mortgage brokers, on
Right.
all of these other referral places that they have created around the efficiency of a buyer agent in the picture,
Right.
right? Um, so it's yes, it's like it's a really like good feeling to say, man, I'm gonna make it. I'm the best in this business. See other schmucks, but like, and I was definitely in the beginning like leaning into that, but I'm also like, all right, I can't lean into the negativity of like beating up our industry and like
Right.
basically doubling down on why this went through and agreeing with the public we're not valuable. Like that statement agrees with the public. I'm now more so leaning into let's educate people in the way where how like I tell my clients, you use me, I do get paid. I'm not a charity service.
Right.
But the reason that I get paid and make money is because I create value for you. My job is to make you money. You see yourself as buying a home. I see an investment. My job is not to sell you any particular home. It's to sell you the right one at the right price. So when you come to me in a few years, I tell you how much money you're going to make when you list your home. My job is I make money. I'm an investment first, real estate second, right? So it's like those types of conversations have to be had because then people are like, well, then duh, like of course, like I want to use somebody that's going to help me make money, not necessarily buy a house, right? So like you got to start changing the dialogue a little bit in that way.
I think it's great because it's going to bring that conversation to the front where people are going to start talking about the price, right? And in our industry,
Yeah,
I mean, as we all know, on the mortgage side of things, we get this is where we haggle in the streets, right? People are at us, what's your
yeah,
rate? What are you doing? What are your costs? And when someone approaches that and they tell you, like, look, because inevitably what's going to happen is some people are going to start to try and shop, make, oh, you're expensive. And then, for me, I would be like, great, I'm glad that you're concerned about the price. I think you should be. It is expensive.
yeah.
But I think that it would be a much better position to pay a lot now than to suffer the price of regret later because you made the wrong decision. Now, we can all
Yeah,
agree that
it's
when
like
we buy
yeah,
something, like if you're going to run a marathon or you're going to go buy the cheapest pair of shoes you can find, like you've got to have quality in what you do. And I think that what's good is that when people start to see that price, now they're going to start to understand the quality, they're going to understand the value of it. And for those who can communicate that, this is going to work out better for a lot of people involved. And of course, and now of course the buyer can feel more comfortable. Like they'll be like, great, I understand why this is being paid and why this is going to happen. The transition period though is going to be a little weird. There's
it's
going to
gonna be
be some
bumpy.
weirdness
It's
here.
gonna, I always say that the worst industry to say "I told you so" is real estate, because
Yeah.
everybody's lost by the time I say it. Right? I lost the sale. The client's pissed. Right? They've gotten screwed. They've had a really bad experience. Which at the end of the day, like "I told you so" doesn't feel good because now it's like I'm buttoned into that whole man like that was really shitty. Like
Right.
Greg probably, I don't know if Greg would have gotten me a better experience, even though like blindly I would have, but like there's no good feelings and I told you so in real estate. And there's going to be a lot of those moments where, people are very proud, right? Like there is no I told you so moments because people don't want to say that they're wrong, right?
Right.
And like where people are going to have to come to consensus is like, man, I really think that a buyer's agent really is worth it. And that jump from now until the public starts to agree with us is on us.
Right.
That conversation has to happen from our side. And I don't know if there's a unit. I don't know if there's a united front in our industry right now to be able to say that.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
You're hitting it right on the nose. That's exactly what I said. The biggest problem, like if there is an actual unified front from the industry, this is going to become a non-issue.
Yeah.
Right? If people are like, this is what it is and this is how we approach it and accept it because they create a norm. I was talking to someone, they said, oh, well, discount brokerages have existed. It's not like they've taken over the industry. And I said, yeah, but I said, would it be fair to say that as this becomes a norm and people start to see this and they start to see more of a quality to this product, it could become a problem. I'm like, if the industry starts to cannibalize itself, because unfortunately, no matter what, when there's blood in the water, there are going to be sharks, right? And the biggest problem with sharks is they're really good at convincing people to do things, right? So there's going to be people who cannibalize the industry to be like, this is how we're going to do it. So if there's not that unified front, it's going to get ugly for a while.
So like what I would say to that is it's never going to be the same, right? The efficiency and the strength of real estate in general, we've lasted for 120 years, right? Like however long it is. And the truth is that we've always figured out a way.
Right.
But like what I want people to understand is that there will be models that come out of this that are different, that are going to be it's going to make us question, is it worth it? And I think what a real estate agent right now has to do is, what is your worth and what are you willing to do? But also, like, can you be flexible in different ways? Because you can't just be a one box fits all for somebody. Like, somebody might not need 100% of your service, but they still need a certain part of your service. So how do you start divvying up your value and think of yourself as a consultant, right, versus an agent, and start thinking about the package of services you can provide.
Right.
Like, presented in that way, and you go to a buyer and says, like, buyers right now are nervous. They're like, I don't know what I don't know, but they need to be educated. And you want to start by offering them solutions and being like, before we get called out for like price fixing, which is like, they're all saying that we're trying to do. This isn't like a one box, everybody say, this is what we're going to charge, this is what we're going to go. Like, that's not at all what's going to happen. We're going to fail if we do that. We all have to be amicable, and we all have to be ready to mold, because the consumer is going to lead the charge of what's going to happen to our jobs, and we have to respect that, right? There's so many brokers that say, I'm not scared. You better be scared out of your goddamn mind. What the fuck are you talking about? You're not scared. We lost. Like, I'm sorry, we lost. Like, that's what happened.
Right.
So like stop pretending like nothing is changing. Like, we have to stop being so proud, and we have to understand that, like, we need to listen to the people that told us that we need to change, right? So, like, be okay with that. Change is good, but if you don't change, you're gone. Like, it's just gonna happen.
It's difficult because, on the side, again, on the mortgage side of things, it's a position where sometimes it's almost like a waiter asking for a tip before the job's done, right? Someone's coming to you and you're trying to tell them what your value is and why you're going to be better than the other lender. And let's face it, right now, it's so competitive in our industry. I could have a client who I could be giving them a toaster with their deal, and they're going to leave me because the other lender gave them the Pop-Tarts. Like, it gets, and the reality is, because things are expensive right now, right? We can all agree. Everything is so expensive. So people become really conscious on how they're spending their money. So the timing on this, there's two things in this in the timing that I think are incredibly poor timing. One, things are so expensive, so people are going to be really looking at their pocketbooks. I think that's something that's given. And the second is that we're still in a shortage of inventory. We're in a pretty strong market for sellers. I know that ebbs and flows nationwide, and there's some areas, but you're in a position where a seller, I mean, they're gonna be tough, because they're gonna look at a place and say, like, I'm not paying anything. I don't need to pay anything to sell my property. People are gonna buy it. Buyers lined up around the block. Good luck. If you don't want to pay it, someone else will. And as that starts to happen, that's going to be interesting. So let me ask you this. Worst case scenario out of all this, what happens? What do you see? What would you think if someone comes to you? What is the Armageddon scenario out of what just happened?
Well, Armageddon scenario is, I'll tell you a perfect example. There was a conversation that I had actually in the last few days with a good client of mine, right? Somebody that like respects and appreciates me, right? And he sourced the property on his own, and he's a very efficient person,
Okay.
right? And he was like, hey, listen, I'm not going to use a buyer's agent, right? I just wanted to let you know, like, I figured this out. I know what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I waited for it, and I waited for it. And I was like, there's a reason you reached out to me. He goes, can I call you? I have a few questions. It's like,
All right.
give me a ring. Let's have a nice conversation. And when we had a conversation, I waited for the questions, right? And they were like macro questions, not micro, like not specific. Like, is this a, what's the value of this home? Is it a good idea to buy in? Should I be worried about this? And then I stopped for a minute. I was like, exactly. You don't know everything. Can I just take a second and let you know that right there, my friend, is where my wisdom is worth money. And if I open my mouth right now and I give you my feedback and answer your questions, now my value is zero. And if you're not willing to pay for that information that I know way better than you and you can use to leverage to make more money, if you don't think that's worth anything, then I'm in trouble. But I was like, I was honest. Like, I don't think I deserve the full rip of what the buyer's agent commission would be for this particular home. I agree with you, but in my macro understanding of your questions to answer those, am I worth my consultation-based fee? Absolutely. And he was like, wow, I didn't even think about that. And I was like, by the way, now you've crossed the line of friendship versus professionalism. And if I continue down this pathway without having this conversation, our friendship might be over. I cannot let that happen. You need to respect me as a professional, and you have to pay me for my time if you want my wisdom. If you don't, I understand. At least we have this conversation, but I cannot answer those questions for you. Does that make sense? He goes, absolutely. I was like, I have a livelihood. I have 2 girls. They're very expensive princesses, and I need to buy them stuff. I am not a charity service. But if I would lean into the good feeling, he's my buddy, I feel bad for him, I get it, and I answered those questions, that, my friend, is doomsday. Then I'm not worth anything. Does that make sense?
That's a really good example. No, it's a really good example. I like what you said in there. You're talking about consultation fees. Maybe there are situations, like you said, models are coming out of this, right? There are going to be different ways of what people do. So
Yes.
it would not be outlandish to say that there might be different tiers of what someone's compensated for.
And listen, like, I know what I'm compensated. I know what I'm worth. I get paid by big firms for consulting on an hourly basis. That's an excessively high rate. And that's the rate that I told them. But I looked at him and I was like, listen, as you know, this is a conversation and you're my friend and I want to help you. So what am I worth to you? Present it to me, and it's on me to accept or not. And most likely, buddy, I will accept something, but I need you to understand that I am valuable. Right. And I need you to open up that checkbook and pay me for my time. That's it.
Makes sense.
But I'm also ready. I'm like, I told him, like, I'm not like dumb. I didn't say that, like, I'm worth the full rip on this specific buy. Like, he did a lot of work on it. I agree. Like, I'm not worth that exact amount. But like, a lot of agents wouldn't be proud enough. Like, they're too proud to say that, right? And like, that's where we have to be, like, willing to change, to understand where and what and how are we valuable. And we're negotiators. Lean into your powers where you have strengths and back off where your weaknesses are, and you will find a very good place for your business. I promise you that.
I like that, man. I like that.
Yeah,
I know
man.
a lot of you, if a lot of you people out there are watching, if we have some agents watching this, if you're scared, you don't know what to do, if you don't have the right leadership, I'm just going to say it. There's a guy on the other side of this that would be happy to walk you through that. He's got a great company.
Man.
I'm sure he'd be happy to support you and give you the knowledge, because right now education and leadership is what's going to get the industry through this.
Education, leadership, and the third thing is value prop.
Yep.
It's like it's not good enough to say that, like, you are responsive and you're a great broker. It's not good enough to say that anymore. What is that additional stuff where somebody can come to you and be like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So what I would tell everybody is work on your online presence because it's going in the next 5-6 months, it will be everything, because you will be judged like a book from the second that people are looking online. And believe me, it is going to be a game of clients. How many clients do you have is your worth as a broker. That's what it's going to be. It's going to, that you're going to have certain levels and certain tiers of clients, some at full rips, some at consultation fees, some that are waiting around. But I will tell you what, if you do this right, the amount of time you are going to save is going to be incredible, because you're going to have these conversations up front. So like, for example, we have a 15% conversion ratio online, right? That means that up to this moment in time, 85% of those people would have never bought with us. Well, guess what? Now we can find out who those 85% of people are from the start. So I just saved myself 85% of my time.
Love that.
That's how you have to start thinking about it.
Can't
so now I have
that.
85% more time to find more clients that do find me valuable.
Right. Dig it.
That's it.
I really appreciate it, man. I appreciate the insight. You know, I respect the Howdy. I think you're a good dude. I think you're a good person.
You're the man, Sam.
If people want to reach out to you and they have more questions, what's the best way for people to find you?
Listen, I'm active on social. You know, my email is a very long Eastern European name email with Vesta. It's just a lot of letters. Just message me on Instagram. You know, I respond to everybody very quickly. Follow me, I'll follow you. This is the time for us to get together, not be scared, and offer our value as a institution, as a collective sum, because there's a lot of people on the very top that have failed us tremendously. And now it's up to us as individuals to come together. It is on us to make this what it's going to be. It's a brave new world, guys. I'm telling you, like, consumers, they don't know what they don't know. It's if we can take this and we can educate them and we can show them that we are valuable and we make them money, and that we're not the $1 million listing people. Like, those shows, bro, like, they screwed us more than anything else, because it's made this perception that all we do is we sit around and sell $1 million homes with zero, like, just run around, and like, we make all this money, we don't care about our clients. Like, we need to take that away and show the 90% of grind, 97% of grind versus the 3% of fun that we have. Show them the 97. Show your day-to-day. Show what you're doing, so clients can be like, whoa, I didn't understand. People don't know what they don't know, right?
I love that. I love it.
Be obvious about your work.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for the opportunity. This is amazing.
We'll continue these conversations. Any of you watching, please make sure that you're following. We're all active on social. Like, follow, look us up on the other mediums through TikTok or any other, however you're out there, find us. We love it. Otherwise, thanks for joining us. Have a safe drive.
Thank you so much.
That puppy behind the ears there.
Bye-bye. All right. See you guys.
Bye, bud. Take care.
Bye.